Yo, what is up guys? I'm here hitting you up with a new video. Before we start talking about Battlefield of Time, quick reminder to support me in the Partner Creator program where you get a lot of free codes every time there's a new mission. I will send them out to all my supporters. There are a lot of good stuff in there. So make sure if you want to support me there. Thank you. Okay guys, let's talk about Battlefield of Time, Arachnid. Now this season is pretty interesting. Because, to be honest, many different ways in this season lead to Rome. Basically, you can do a lot of different things. It's not like you need that one specific setup to reach your goal or to get the fastest time. There are many different setups you can run, literally, with the weapons, with the support, with the shadows, literally blessings, everything. There are many different ways for it. So, now I want to make it simple. There are two ways you can approach, I think, to make it as easy as possible. There are two different ways you can approach this Battlefield of Time season. Is you go either the one way where you try to one-shot the spider with the staff, or there's another option where you do not one-shot the spider immediately and you break the spider. Now, when you want to one-shot the spider, you are going with three supports. You can bring Akari, Min, and Ayla. These three give you the most crit rate. For Jinwoo, I personally recommend this setup. You could also bring Fisher for Akari instead. That also works. I personally just like Akari a little bit more just because of the extra crit rate. Fisher also gives you the extra attack percentage. It really does not matter at all. I'm honest with you guys. Use whatever you want for the supports, but use these type of support hunts. Okay, now when it comes to the shadows, you have three different options. Also, you can either go with Igris for the extra crit rate, but you can also go with the Rock for the extra basic skill damage, or you can also use just Baru for the extra attack and crit damage. This works also. As I just said, many different ways lead to Rome with this Battlefield of Time season, so you can go with either of these. Okay, let's just stick for this for a second. And you have the staff and plum setup. I will not go step by step with this because I think it's fairly easy, because I do want to show you different type of stuff real quick. I will end the full run at the end later, but I also uploaded that video already, but it's basically the same thing. Now for the build itself, for Jinwoo, you go either with a full Warmonger set or you go with a full toughness set. Okay, either one, both are absolutely fine. Now when it comes to the support, I have two different things. So you can either go with the Obsidian set. Okay, you can either go Obsidian or you can go very distant set, depending on what you're trying to aim for. I highly recommend just go with the Obsidian set because that nets you the most damage. And then when it comes to the support hunters, to make your life as easy as possible, if you look at what you're trying to aim for in Battlefield of Time, the way I would recommend it is if you go for the full setup, obviously. You can go with Angel, Sylph. Then on Min, you want to have the full blessing set, full blessing on Min. And then for these two, Angel Sylph and Holy Sylph, those are these two sets. I'm not gonna use them right now because I'm too lazy to switch stuff right now, and it still will work fine completely. I'm just letting you know what you need. And this works, okay? So this works. You could also just go, if you want to, you can start off with Akari with a full blessing set if you need it, and then use Angel and Holy on these two with a Sylph set. Works also. Quick fix. Now when it comes to the skills, there are different ways to approach it. Now if you have a Liberation, like a gold level 10 Liberation, you can use Liberation, which you saw from my video, also maybe from other videos. And you can bring gold Effulgence because this one gives you a crit damage buff. Now obviously if you don't have gold Effulgence and you maybe have the gold Crosshairs Fire, you can use that as well. Is even a little bit faster. And what you also want to use is for collabs, you want to use the surprise attack, weak break, because this, for some reason, I don't know why, but if you hit it on the nest, it just gives you extra damage. It is what it is, but somehow it works for this. don't really understand why, but it is what it is, really. And for the QT here, just overshadow if you just want to go for the fastest time possible. This is basically the setup here. You go in, use the liberation on the 2 spiders, then you use the QTE to destroy, get the extra buff, dash into crosshairs, into the overshadow. So this is basically the fastest way to clear phase 1, but you saw that probably already. Now here's the interesting part. There are 2 different ways I want to show you on like how you want to do it. Now if you go with the setup, you don't need this, by the way, reawakening, you don't need this. As I said, many different ways later roam. You can literally do whatever. You can bring these 4 which I'm showing you right now. You can also just bring double-edged sword. You can bring, I don't know, mana rampage. You can do so many things. You don't need reawakening for this specific setup. Okay, for this setup you just don't need it. Just bring 4 DPS blessings. That's about it. Literally, that's about it. Nothing else needed for this. Just bring 4 DPS blessings. Now I just want to give you a different type of setup. Now if you have only an A3 staff, that also works, okay? Or you don't, and you can't one-shot, okay? Let's just assume for a second you cannot one-shot. Now I have a different setup for you. Now instead of running the full support buff damage wise, what you can do instead is you can bring 2 breakers. Now when you bring 2 breakers, what you want to do is you use Gugunhee and you're gonna use Jinho, both with these purple break weapons. That is good enough. Then you have Jinwoo, and now there are 2 different ways you can approach this. Now what you definitely need in this situation is you need the reawakening blessing with a different type of setup, because I also assume you maybe do not have gold liberation. You're gonna use absorption instead. Okay, now you have absorption as 1 skill, and there are now 2 different ways. If you have the A3 staff, okay, now let's say you have A3 staff, then what you can do is you can bring now absorption, and for the skill you are going to use the multi-shadow break. Now you have 2 breakers and Min with the multi-shadow. Oh, and obviously you also need one more thing. I almost forgot to include it, but you need then you need the pulverize and weakness detection setup. And the last one really depends on what you have. You can go with either of these. I just use Intuit now for the time being, but you can use either of this. Obviously you want to have a white core for Jinwoo equipped. And now for the setup, you want to have these 2. You want to have with a full break set, like so this set here with Sylph. Reason being is if you have these 2, okay, you have these 2 with a Sylph set, and you have the weakness detection, and with the break skill you are making sure that you're going to break the boss. And the alternative way, guys, now the alternative way would be if you do not have the A3 staff, what you can also do is you bring the Huntsman weapon for the extra break mechanic, but now instead of bringing armor break, like, because you now don't need it because you have the Huntsman weapon, instead what you're gonna use is you are going to bring Sonic Stream Double Down. Now this is what you can use as well. These are the setups you can run for Battlefield of Time, and now I will just blend in 2 or 3 different types of runs so you can understand, okay, this is how it works, right? And this is what type of strategy you have. So you have the Huntsman strategy, you have the stuff strategy. Also there's like a strategy for this one. I didn't do that yet, but these 2 is what I want to showcase you with absorption and stuff like that. Thanks guys for tuning in. See you with the next one. Deuces.